Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Two Queens Checking In. I'm Theta Valley, your plus size diva host, with my beautiful and sexy co-host.
Hello, everybody. It's Miss Maxine. Yes.
Girl,
Oh, yes, God.
got some extra purrs in there. You feeling yourself on this birthday weekend?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh
I
my.
actually decided to wake up and live life for a couple days. Act like I don't hate it all.
So this weekend, children, is Mother Maxine's birthday.
19 again.
Yes, and it's the blood of fetuses, fetuses, keeping her young and healthy.
It's true. It's all the children that I slay every day.
Yeah, what I love
For
is that
my
your
own personal benefit.
birthday's the 4th of July, which is supposed to, it's America's Independence Day, and I feel like
Yes.
we were made independent by the birth of the Queen.
It's true. And I actually love the fact that my birthday is the 4th of July. Canada's my favorite country.
Thank you, children. Thank you.
Yes.
How's my audio this week? I'm trying something a little different.
So far, it sounds good. So I'm just
Okay.
hoping we don't have any combustibles like last week. So.
Yeah, last week was a nightmare. Oh, Lord, child.
Yeah.
This week, though, I'm in my bed, so maybe that's gonna work out for us.
Oh, so there you go. You have all the cushions to reverb the sound.
Yeah, I've got pillows from one end to the other here.
See, you finally listened. I'm so
I
proud.
did, finally.
I feel like a proud mother.
Also, I have one too many margaritas on the 4th of July, so I can't lift my head. So I
can't speak on that because, me and drinking, thanks to you.
I know, I ruined it for life.
Yes.
Well,
it's okay. I still live my bougiest life just without the alcohol.
It's true. You are such a little bouge. So since this is your birthday weekend, we want to celebrate all things Maxine. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. That's my favorite topic to talk about.
So I want to get the Drag Race recap out of the way, and then we're going to deep dive into the heart and soul of Miss Maxine Factor.
That sounds naughty. I'm totally up for it.
We're not going to say it doesn't involve fisting, but it doesn't involve fisting.
Actually, I'm not into that. That to me is kind of creepy, gross sounding.
It's fine.
Just saying.
Like, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't know if my asshole can handle it.
I'm not opposed to other people doing it. I just don't want to be involved in it. So.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. Like, I know my vagina can stretch that way because Mother Nature made her that way.
Well,
but
you had kids, so that's obvious. Yeah.
wait. Speaking of vagina, I was going to tell you this funny thing I saw yesterday online. Some guy had tweeted out that the reason women can't have sex with multiple men is because the vagina seeks to conform with the first penis it encounters. And
one of those people.
If you put other peni in it, the vagina gets confused and loses elasticity because it's trying to conform to multiple types of penises. And I was like, bitch, vaginas are not memory foam.
That's some real deep Bible thumping Christian science right there.
Thinking we got memory foam.
I mean, yeah, like come on. Like, has this person ever seen how anything on the human body works?
Probably not.
Because clearly, yeah, there's that one group on Facebook. One of our friends follows it. I don't remember the name of it, but it's like something like Mothers Against Masturbation.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
Yes.
And it's like, you see the stuff, and it's like, when you're reading it, I'm like, please tell me this is all a joke. Because sadly, I don't think it is.
No, it's not.
And it's like, the fact that these people in the year 2020 can honest to God think the things that they are saying out loud and thinking that other people should conform and believe it. Oh wow, it's just gross, you know.
It is interesting. I just wonder if that guy thinks that like scientists like studied the vagina to make memory foam mattresses, and that's how we got that.
I mean, it's possible, but
Well, speaking of vaginas, let's talk about some lovely tucked
RuPaul's Drag
ladies.
Race.
Yes, may the best woman win.
Without a vagina though, because they don't
Right.
allow trans contestants.
I think she does now. I think
What?
after the kerfuffle of being super transphobic, RuPaul was like, "Oh, my bad. I will now let some trans people be on here."
Was that a statement made? Because I haven't heard that.
I feel like pretty sure like I did see that, but I'll have to
Did you
research
see
it.
Did you see that RuPaul deleted his Instagram and Twitter accounts?
Yeah. What is the mystery there? What is going on?
Yeah. And the really funny thing about it, okay, so basically we're probably not going to know because RuPaul is normally a fairly secret person, if you could say. You know, he's not like very spreading his business all over the place, and he's one of those people that really strictly uses social media just to promote like the show and that kind of deal.
Well, we saw like when we met RuPaul, like there was like no, like that bitch turns herself on and off, right? Like you saw.
Absolutely, it's very much a character.
Yeah, she like went to her line, you know, the spot on the
and
stage.
There's no shame in that.
No.
Because
no, but I just think that like we really like, you know, the society thinks that they know celebrities because they're out there.
Oh, exactly.
And I saw that bitch like go to her line on the stage, step on her line, turn on RuPaul, do her works, shut RuPaul the fuck off as soon as she did her cut, and walk the fuck off the stage.
Well, you know, and actually talking about that too, let's go a little deeper into when we saw the taping of the finale.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
She did not miss the mark but one time, because you remember and I think that was actually a recording issue because they taped the entire show. She didn't have to redo anything until the very end. We had to have her redo like part of her opening song number that she did because there was like some taping issues with that or something.
Yeah, bitch is a professional. Like she comes in.
Yeah, absolutely professional.
Knows her lines, knows exactly how she's going to deliver them, nails that shit out the gate, and then she's like done. Back to being myself.
Go to take my wig off.
Exactly. Like that was.
I'm surprised we didn't see her standing on the street in downtown LA with her wig off and high heels in her hands the way I was.
Exactly.
I was such a hot mess train wreck. Oh my god.
But yeah, that bitch is a professional.
Yes. But no, anyway, so she obviously deleted her, you know, social media stuff. But the funny thing is Cameron Michaels from season 10 deleted hers the same day. And I just thought that was hysterical because everybody went into some uproar like Cameron Michaels deleted her social media to stand behind RuPaul.
To stand behind her, we don't even know what she's standing behind.
I know. But then here's the funniest part of it all. Then like 2 days later, Cameron Michaels re-uploaded herself on all of her social media platforms and said that she did it because she didn't like a lot of the photos and posts and self-ego things that she had on there. So she wanted to take the whole thing down and start from scratch. And it just ironically happened to be the same day as RuPaul, but there was no like secret like agenda between Cameron Michaels and RuPaul Charles, you know, like.
But bitches be like tripping and making up conspiracy
Oh my
theories.
God! Because as soon as I heard that RuPaul deleted social media, I went, as always, right to my YouTube and was like, RuPaul deleted Twitter, found all the tea I could find and started watching it. And that was the one thing that I started noticing the most was because her and Cameron Michaels did it together. And I'm like, and don't get it twisted. I love Cameron Michaels. She was a good asset to that season. But I'm like Cameron Michaels? Like, I could have understood if it was like RuPaul and Bianca Del Rio.
But Cameron Michaels.
But Cameron Michaels. Yeah.
She's the
That'd be like, that would be like did you know that RuPaul and Susie from Idaho deleted their social media in solidarity to each other? Like, what? You know, like, that's how I feel about it being Cameron Michaels.
Oh, fuck. Susie from Idaho, that bitch. She represents.
Susie from Idaho. Yes. Well, she does, actually.
Yeah. Good job, Susie
But I
from
mean,
Idaho.
seriously, I'm like, yeah, like I said, if it would have been one of the more, like, front runner queens from the show, the ones who, like, really stand out the most, or the ones that obviously could or would work in conjunction with RuPaul on certain things, fine. But Cameron Michaels, it made me giggle, that's all.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
right.
Snatch Game of Love.
Snatch
Since we've already,
Game. Oh my God.
Since we already derailed ourselves, even though we stayed on the same type of topic.
Yeah.
So congratulations to us.
Good job. We've been better.
Yay.
So yeah, this week was the Snatch Game. They did Snatch Game of Love, which is the alternative version. And I will say the first round of contestants, let us talk about what a train wreck that fucking was.
Okay, so first off, before we even talk about the train wreck, let's give Alexis Mateo that huge round of applause.
Yes.
Because if you are a child of the 80s, like we are, and I just admitted my age, kind of.
No, you're 19. You're 19.
Yes, I'm 19. But if you were alive back then, you might not have known the name Walter Mercado, but you knew who he was when you saw him.
Yeah, and especially like me growing up in like Southern California, and like 75%.
Oh yeah, you especially had of.
Yeah, 75% of the channels that I had access to were Spanish-speaking channels.
Exactly. So when he first said what he was going to do, I instantly started pissing my pants. Like, I was like, yes, he's going to kick this out of the park. He's going to do amazing. These other bitches better be prepared.
Right.
And I think that he kind of proved himself with that. Like, Jesus God, he did exactly what you're supposed to do with a character.
Yes.
For that challenge.
Yes.
But with that being said, let's now talk about Lady Gaga and Jeffree Star, played by Ms. Cracker in India.
Okay. First of all, Ms. Cracker, when a bitch.
I love her.
Love her. But when a bitch gonna learn a lesson and realize that you cannot take somebody who is not funny and who doesn't really have too many over the top
that's exactly my point.
Things that you can, run with to fucking, to do. Like, so stupid.
The only way you can make Lady Gaga funny is if you were to completely break down everything about her and then find ways to throw these huge zingers about each of those things. But even still, those are a lot of things that, like, most people probably wouldn't even catch as being a Lady Gaga-ism if that was the case.
Exactly.
Because you would really have to study that person.
Yep, exactly.
And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have India Farah doing Jeffree Star, who is all personality, all character, all kinds of hysterical.
Like, there were so many
did
things.
none of it.
I mean, she had... she had a whole goddamn Encyclopedia Britannica collection, all hardbound leather that she could have dove into for material.
I mean, like, to give you the easiest example, this was something so when the one question was asked, I'm not going to remember details, but they said something about, asked Jeffree Star the question, and he said something about his big pink vault. Yes. Which is hysterical sounding because it obviously sounds like he's talking about his big gaping vagina, but he, in his old house, had a huge metal vault that was pink, and it was a room that housed all of his most expensive items.
Right.
But all he had to do is say that, and then when they try to dive deeper into it, oh, what do you keep in this vault? That's when he could have said something simple like, oh, that's where I keep the body of Kat Von D after her and I had a falling out. Or,
right?
Like done, instant, simple.
Take the facts and characterize them. Don't try to, you're not trying to do an impersonation. You're doing
I
satire. Do you know what
Yes.
satire is, people?
Yeah. I feel like in this specific portion of the episode, when that was all going on, both the Lady Gaga and Jeffree Star characters, to me, appeared as if they were on an Oprah interview.
Yes.
And not the Snatch Games.
Yes. That is the exact feeling I got too. Like, bitches were on Oprah and trying to, like, you know, answer Oprah's question. I'm being like, so cheeky.
Yeah. Yes, Oprah, I did read that book today, and hi, how are you? Like, come on. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So fucking trash. Like, I was mad.
Yeah. And even too, so Jeffree Star is known for opening all of his videos up with, hi, how are you? And he waves his mirror that is the Jeffree Star logo. Okay? And Jeffree Star is also very known for smoking a shit ton of weed. Yeah. So couldn't he have first and foremost purchased a Jeffree Star mirror if he was going to play him? And secondly, when he lifted up that mirror to do that, instead of saying, hi, how are you, go, how high are you?
Yes.
I feel like I'm winning Snatch Games right now because I'm coming up with better things off the cuff. You know? Thank you. Hi, academic voice. How's it going?
Welcome. Now, round 2, this is when...
Round 2 changed my life.
The superstars. Now, what really makes me sad about round 2, okay, is you know what a big Jujubee fan I am.
Yes, I know.
And she turned it out, right? Like, she did exactly what we were talking about, of taking characteristics of somebody who's not funny, but deep diving so deep into that character that you can take it and make it funny as shit. But unfortunately, Shea Coulee.
Exactly. Which was earned.
Shea Coulee and her Flavor Flav, like, just outdid Jujubee's Eartha Kitt. And it was so disappointing because her Eartha Kitt was literally the best I've seen on Snatch Game. And
oh my God.
Iconic.
When he said to her, how would you keep me warm at night? And she goes, and she goes, I would sensually walk to the thermostat.
Dead. I was dead. Or when he was like...
Yeah, like dead on arrival, done. Yeah.
What was the fucking question about if I was a prince, and you were a frog? And she was like,
oh, yeah.
Ribbit. I'm a lady frog. I'm convincing you. Dead. But unfortunately, Shea Coulee just took it to next level with her Flavor Flav. I mean, like, she was Flavor Flav. Like, if you put them next to each other, who would know who was who? Because she did him so well.
And I'll be the first to sit there and tell you, because obviously I like things all pop culture. I not only did watch Flavor of Love, but I used to hold like Flavor of Love viewing parties and everything. I was so into it.
Oh my God.
And shut up.
I'm not shaming you, but I'm also shaming you.
Shaming me, yeah. Hey, you would have had a good time when you walked into my house and I had on my big clock on my neck, and I took my Wrigley's chewing gum packet and I used the foil to make a grill. Because a queen does what a queen gotta do to represent and throw the party.
It's true.
But when that thing first happened, okay, before anything started, I saw Shea Coulee's Flavor Flav and just died. Because like you said, it was like actually Flavor Flav was sitting out there.
Yeah.
So that to start. But I'll be honest with you, when Jujubee says she was doing Eartha Kitt, I instantly was like, girl, don't.
Me too.
Because I knew a person back in my heyday of doing drag shows who was an Eartha Kitt impersonator. And let me tell you, those were some of the most boring, redundant drag shows I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not trying to shade anybody, including Eartha Kitt. I'm just letting it be known that it was never enjoyable. Yeah. So when she said she was doing this, I was like, girl, please don't, girl.
No, girl, stop.
And then, to top it off, when Blair St. Clair said she was doing Ellen DeGeneres, I was like, oh, she's going to win this.
Yeah.
And I will be the first to admit, I was like, again, she had a character that is infamous for one-liners, for zinger comments, for even too if she would have just done the whole like sitting in different awkward positions and throughout the thing.
I thought it would have been hilarious because there's all these rumors going around now that Ellen's actually mean. I thought
that would have been funny too.
Wouldn't it have been hilarious if she did like the super nice Ellen and then acted like she had like a multiple personality and would like snap into mean Ellen and then snap back and not realize she had been in mean Ellen mode?
I would have loved that. But that's what I'm saying. Again, it's one of those things that even without having to put the extra thought into it, she could have thrown it out.
Yep. She had so much to work with. And I really think Jujubee did it with Eartha Kitt, and look what she did with it.
And the thing is I'll be the first to sit there and say I do think Shea Coulee deserved to win. However, I'm such a Jujubee fan, just like you, that she did such an amazing job. She killed everything about it that
I know. It was hard.
I still think she should have won. I still think she should have won, but
it was hard.
Shea really did.
I was like, yes, Shea deserves it, but God damn it, Jujubee, she did so good. But let's talk a little bit about the drama that happened with India and Alexis Mateo. Okay.
So you go and spill your tea, and then I will share mine.
I don't fucking believe India.
You don't?
I don't believe her.
Okay, what causes you to say all this? I'm going to let you speak your piece before I say it.
Okay. Why are you bringing this up now when you know at this moment you're about to be eliminated? Like,
do you not think she should have had that conversation right after it happened to Shea privately and said, hey, don't say anything to anybody. I just want you to know what really happened.
Exactly. If that was weighing on your soul, and I could see even waiting a week, okay? Maybe even a week.
Yeah.
And it's weighing on your soul so much that you've got to confess this. Why is it at the moment when you know you are most likely about to be voted off because you're in the bottom again that you decide that you're going to spill that? And then Alexis is not necessarily, to me, I don't feel like she's that shady. Bitch is going to tell you to your face exactly. I mean, she's shown over and over again. She's telling everybody what she thinks of them, exactly what her thoughts are. She's not trying to hide anything. So I don't, and like even Alexis said, she was like, look, if I'm trying to build a campaign, I can't win with one or two people.
and I agree with that. I do agree with that.
So I don't know. I just felt like India was lying.
Yeah. Now, here's where I'm going to speak my piece on it, because I'm actually way more of a fan of Alexis Mateo than I ever could be of India Farah.
Right.
Okay. So with that in mind, India was telling the truth.
You think so?
I know so, because if you were to, because keep in mind and remember, I study Drag Race.
This is true. You are an academic.
And I also record every episode that I'm watching live and then go back and revisit it to make sure that I'm catching everything I need to catch.
Okay.
So if you go back to the episode where they voted out Mariah Balenciaga, Mayhem Miller goes into the confessional booth and was talking about how only her and Alexis voted for Shea, because she goes, well, what happened to the group consensus of all of us voting for her? She admitted right there that there was a behind-the-scenes scheme. Because the thing was if Mariah, Mayhem, Alexis, and India all voted for Shea the way they were supposed to, Shea would have been out that night.
Right.
So they actually did have a majority vote that Alexis was denying happened. So when you actually go back and revisit that, that is the case and the truth. However, going into that a little further with you saying how you don't seem to think that Alexis is this type of queen, and I can respect that. But when you go into the pageant circuits, it's all about that. And Alexis is very well known for being a very pageant queen.
It's true. That is very true.
So, yeah. So there's a whole lot of underground looking into it that you have to see to realize. And I'm not hating on Alexis for doing it, because she do what she do because that's how they do it, and it makes sense to try to go that route. But when Mayhem exposed her and Mariah and India for not voting for Shay, she was exposing their plot right there. So, and obviously at this point, Mayhem was already gone, so she couldn't defend anything from it, and
You're like Sherlock motherfucking Holmes up in this bitch.
I take my Drag Race seriously, okay?
You're like, excuse me, I bring receipts, hold up.
Yes.
Lay that down.
Speaking of receipts, because yes, I do bring my receipts when it comes to my Drag Race especially.
Yes.
But can we talk about the newest Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star drama?
Okay.
Which is another one of my favorite things, clearly.
So, I don't religiously follow those things, obviously, because I'm on Twitter.
And I get that.
I've just seen there is a kerfuffle going on in that world. Yes. And it has to do with, I think, Shane Dawson being a sexual predator.
No. James Charles.
Charles. Okay.
According to Shane Dawson. Now they're trying to claim Shane Dawson's a sexual predator, and he was doing pedophilia type activities and blah, blah, blah. This is what happens, okay? And I'm going to sit there and say I like all the characters involved, if you can say, okay? I'm a big fan of Tati. I'm a big fan of James Charles. I'm a big fan of Shane Dawson. I'm a big fan of Jeffree Star. However, they all need to just have a timeout.
Y'all get a timeout.
But at the same time, everybody out there in this world needs to take a fucking deep breath. So to try to recap what has happened over the past couple of years, okay? So Jeffree Star is very controversial. He admits it. He lives for being dramatic and, stirs the pot, shit talks people. Last year, Tatiana put out this video called Bye Sister, where she was calling out James Charles for trying to lure heterosexual men into hotel rooms with him and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And she looks at him like she is his mother figure, and she tries to steer him in the right direction, and she wants the best for him, and he's taking these predatory approaches, and she's worried about his safety. And so instead of, calling his ass up on the phone, she goes and lets 40 million people watch it on YouTube.
Because that's what you do when you care for somebody.
Because that's what you do. Exactly. So those two had this huge falling out. Jeffree Star, in turn, was like, yeah, he's done all these things, and I have receipts, and people are coming forward. That's what Jeffree Star does. He talks shit. Whatever. Okay? So now, fast forward a year later, Tatiana makes a new video where she's like, well, after this all happened, James and I finally sat down and talked, and we compared notes about what was said about from who and about what, and it was all Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star pigeonholing me into thinking this and that, and they were convincing me of all these things and talking me into doing etc. And her and James had made up and had been friends, but they've been sitting on this, waiting for the right time to come forward, because Tatiana is feared for her safety and has had to move twice in order to keep her anonymity so she doesn't get hurt. Have you seen Jeffree Star? I mean, he's like 12 really, pounds soaking wet.
But he also has some really long nails. Those are a little scary.
Well, fine, but it's like, do you really think that this, multi-million-dollar cosmetics company mogul is going to put a hit on you?
I mean, I've watched some really weird shit. I'm not gonna take it off the table as a possibility. I mean, the guy that created the McAfee security software.
Yeah.
Like he went and you gotta watch the documentary on him. He went and got him a whole little thug island, and was like, he was putting hits on people and getting guns.
You need to send me a link to this.
He even had a hammock with a hole in it so people could poop on him from above. So
he was kinky.
Yeah, he was in a fecal play. So I'm just saying, sometimes with great power comes a little bit of batshit crazy.
Oh, and there does, but it's but at the same time, it's please, you know, like this
Right.
bitch is clearly, and I'm not trying to hate on her even, but I'm just like, come on. But the thing is now all of a sudden all these people are coming forward, telling the truth about Jeffrey and how they've all feared for their lives because he has, you know, he always tells people he has dirt on everyone. Well, okay. Everybody got dirt on everybody.
I mean,
You know, like, you think about the amount of dirt you and I have on each other.
oh Lord, child.
But that doesn't make me fear my life because you know things about me.
Right.
You
We
know?
just never better turn on each other.
Yeah, exactly. But I sadly also tell it all, so it's not like, you know.
It is true. We are the queens of
But,
TMI, so it's not like we're hiding shit.
it's true. But it's just like, come on, it's getting ridiculous. Like, everybody needs to just stop, step back. You don't have to be friends with each other, but like, get over your shit.
It's
But the thing is
high school.
they're all like, yeah, and they're all like trying to ruin each other's careers in the process. And it's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. It needs to stop. And then to step back another hot second. So they're talking about all these things about, you know, James Charles was accused of being like a predator, and now they're trying to call Shane Dawson a pedophile, and, you know, Jeffree Star with his racist past. How many videos does Jeffree Star put out apologizing for his racist past? Like 1 million.
Yeah.
Because he was like 20 years old. He was a MySpace music celebrity who built an entire career back then on shock value. Now, I'm not sitting there saying that racism is cute, because we all know it ain't. But at the same time, if your entire career is built on that, and that's when saying things like he did back then were not necessarily looked at as poorly as they are today.
Right.
You can't hold that against him in today's society when he is like 15 years older than he was then.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Like, stop bringing it back up. It's been brought up every 2 years. Let it go finally, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, people do have to have room to grow. And, like, you know, and there is a lot of shit that all of us fucking did, you know, that we didn't realize how damaging it was or how painful it was because it was acceptable in society and we just didn't fucking get it.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I mean, there are plenty of things that, and again, I'm going to speak on your behalf for a moment, that you and I both did when we were in our late teens and probably together that are probably looked at as very unfavorable right now. But you know what? That's because it was in the early 90s, and that's because we were dumb teenagers back then. But that is not the person we are today.
Yeah, and as dumb teenagers, like, even if you know something's wrong, you're going to, you know, push the boundaries and test the limits, and, you know, that's one of the big, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of, like, you know, you can't be trying children as adults in crime because they're stupid. They make stupid choices. Exactly. And I mean, I'm still making stupid choices, but much more informed stupid choices.
I was going to say, you actually think about these poor choices before you make them.
Yeah.
And then you just proceed on doing it anyway.
Yeah. When I was like 18 or 19, I just did it. I didn't think about it.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, like back in those days when we were younger, and I'm not going to ever sit there and say, you know, drinking and driving is good, but we all drink and drive.
Yeah, that's a true story.
So now, if drinking became
somebody should ask Mike Antonucci about that. Oh, we fucked up that guy's car.
Well, that's another whole bag of shenanigans that we could talk about.
I was real high.
Yeah.
Not that'll be
fun. But the point is, But the point is we did dumb things like that because we were young and we were not in a correct mind frame to think they were okay.
Right.
Now, if that was something that was advertised back then, people may have laughed about it. But in today's society, people might be bringing it back up on us going, well, they did this, so now they're obviously alcoholics and bad people. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
You know, I made a dumb mistake. Yeah. And again, I'm not validating racism in any way, shape, or form. But you have to validate a person's ability to grow.
Yeah. I mean, if there's no space for us to learn, then, you know, what is the point of trying to come to the table and understand?
Yeah, exactly. So, moral of the story, there's all kinds of kerfuffle going on with them. It's all kinds of stupid, ridiculous. But I'm going to just sit there and be the person to say, who cares? don't unfollow them, don't cancel them, or whatever you want to. Just let it go.
Everybody goes
Don't
in
add to the
timeout.
hype.
Everybody's going in timeout.
Yeah. Because the thing is if there is a much greater issue above and beyond all this stuff, it'll come out.
Yeah.
But it's probably and most certainly just a whole bunch of dramatic whatevers, you know. So.
God, what a mess.
Yeah.
Y'all got all this money, and that's, you know, all you can have time to do is fight amongst yourselves. Like, well, God.
Yeah.
Children. Children.
Speaking of hot messes.
Oh, don't talk about me.
Well, I mean, you caught me. No. But I was going to say, another topic I wanted to talk about is my absolute undying love for reality TV.
This is true.
Which is usually a hot train wreck of a mess. But more importantly, I want to go into Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Because, have you heard that Kim's husband, Kanye, is claiming now that he's running for president?
I did see that. I'm going to vote for him.
Really?
I'm going to vote for him. I mean, look.
Well, then this show's going to now be called One Queen Checking In.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Because, girl.
Look.
Girl.
Like,
he's a mess. Exactly. He is a mess.
He is a mess, but also Joe Biden's a mess.
I agree. I'm not denying that. But
Grandpa
Kanye,
Joe,
clearly.
I mean, Kanye might have some brilliant ideas. Who knows what's under that? Grandpa Joe, he ain't got no good ideas left. He is old and decrepit.
I think what Kim needs to do is she needs to rein her man in and be like, listen, honey, just stop. Because every so many years you have to do some ridiculous thing.
Okay.
You know?
But can you imagine if Kim Kardashian was the first lady?
Well, I would love that. But I actually, okay, let's take one step back and change the narrative. And what if Kim Kardashian ran for president? I would vote for that instantly.
That girl's smart. That girl,
because she is
smart.
Now her husband, on the other hand, he's kind of an asshole. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, but also like.
I mean, granted, nothing could be worse than what we have in the office right now.
Exactly. Like, fine. If voting for Kanye
better than
gets Trump out, then done. Deal with it.
But the thing is, it's just ridiculous. And this is where, okay, I'm going to actually play somewhat of an intelligent person for a moment, so I really apologize if I throw you off with this. But we're at that stage of the game. Say Kanye does decide to go and run for president. I think we all know he's not going to get enough votes to actually win.
Yeah.
Because enough people really don't look at him as, even if he is completely qualifying, because of all the shenanigan bullshit stunts he tries to pull all the time. Nobody's going to probably take it seriously. But the thing is we technically and will most likely have one of two options, which is either to keep the Cheeto for another 4 years or to replace him with Biden. And I'm not saying that Biden is necessarily the best bet, but I'm just saying those are most likely our only two true narrative options.
Yes.
Now, if Kanye wants to be that asshole and step in and take some votes for people who are willing to vote for him, every vote for Kanye is a vote taken away from Biden, which is more guaranteeing Trump to stay in.
Yes.
So,
but also,
in reality,
I would like
he needs to get off his stupid... I'm not going to fight you on Kanye being president. I'll even give you that. But, like, he needs to stop. Like, right now, it's too important for him to be his asshole self for 5 minutes.
No, it's true. You just need to calm the fuck down. But you know what? I don't even think
Kim as first lady would be decadent. He should be, because I think it's 35, right?
I don't remember. I'm going to have to Google this, because I thought it was like 40-something.
I don't think he's that old, is he?
No. I don't know how old you have to be. I can't remember.
I mean, I look like I'm 19, just saying, so.
It's true, so people would be confused.
And I could probably run for president easily.
Let's see. I'm Googling this.
Yeah, please do.
But I
'Cause I am
can't
curious what it
type
is.
right, so.
Well, what are you looking up? His age or the age to be president?
The age to be president.
Okay, I'm going to pull up his age while you're doing that.
Here we go. How old do you have to be president? Oh, it is 35 years old, so I'm pretty sure he probably meets that.
Oh, and are you ready for this?
What?
Okay, so how old do you think Kanye is?
I feel like Kanye is probably like in his like mid to late 30s.
He is 43 years old.
Oh shit, he's as old as me?
Yeah, and his birthday is 2 days after yours.
What? Oh, me and
Yes.
Kanye are twins.
Maybe that's who's going to get extracted from your stomach on Tuesday, on Wednesday.
Oh my God. Removing
When you have your
Kanye
sister's
from me.
Oh.
All right, well, I guess he's old
Yeah.
enough, so, all right.
Yep, so he is. And look at me sounding all smart, knowing the president's age.
I know.
Or the
You were
age to be a
so
president.
good. You were like, it's
Look at me, I'm
35.
fancy.
It's 35. I feel like 35 is too young to be president, but anyway.
I probably kind of think so too, but that's also because we both act like we're 16. So.
Shut up, bitch. As I sit here with the gift my mother sent me, which is called unicorn snot, and it's glitter gel for the body and face, because, you know.
Oh,
all
that
43
sounds fun.
all 43-year-olds should have glitter unicorn snot to rub on. So.
I agree with you. I'm not going to fight that.
Came with a matching lip gloss. So.
And I was going to say, keep in mind, you're saying to the person who has like a wand collection that would make Harry Potter look like a pussy. So, just saying, you know.
True story. All right. Well,
Yes.
no, I mean, all joking aside, what you're saying is very factual and accurate, and it can cause a disruption.
But Kim Kardashian as a first lady would be decadent.
It would be glorious. I would love it. But also, you know, Kanye is like 3 shades of crazy. Well, he's 3 shades of crazy. I don't even know just that he's an asshole so much as like he's just not right in the head.
Yeah. There's just whatever it is, there's just something not going on.
Yeah. And
so,
well, I may joke that, haha, it would be better than what we have now. He's still crazy. We still don't need a crazy in there.
Yeah. But it would still be better than we got now.
You know, who the fuck knows, though? I mean, with his crazy self, who knows what he would do?
Yeah.
I mean, that motherfucker's password on his phone was 1234. Come on now.
Was it for real?
Yes. He did it like he was visiting Trump's office and hanging out with Trump, which is already a bad sign.
That's another thing right there. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
And then over his shoulder, he was unlocking his phone, and the reporters got him typing in his password, and it was like 12345.
Oh.
Good job.
My
honey.
head hurts. Yeah.
Good job, honey. Numbers are hard. Numbers are hard. Okay.
I struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, everybody, don't vote for Kanye, please, because it seems like that would be a really, really poor idea. So let's not do that. Just because you recognize the name doesn't mean that he should be your president.
Because that's how Trump got in, because people recognize the name.
I know that guy.
You're a pirate person? Yeah.
I saw him on the TV, chick.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to leave that statement I wanted to make alone, because, because it was rude.
Wow. So, what else do we have to deep dive into the psyche and the soul of Maxine this week?
Well, another thing I was thinking was a fun topic to discuss, because I think scary movies are by far some of the coolest, funnest movies out there to watch.
Yeah.
If they were made in the 70s and 80s.
70s and 80s only.
Yeah. Because you think about those movies that we have nowadays, like, really?
Like, what's one you saw recently you hated?
Well, okay, it's not even about one specifically I saw that I hated, because it's all of them. Because here's the problem. You had movies made in the 80s like Poltergeist.
Right.
That left people scared off their ass, bone-chilling, freaking people out, the whole... And what kind of real graphics did they have back in those days?
Nothing, hardly.
So now they have the world of CGI going on here, and this shit's lame.
Y'all can't pull it off.
Like, seriously, like, when you watch a scary movie made nowadays, do you not feel like you should have that feeling that you are inside that deep, decrepit, haunted house trapped in the basement that was built in 1792, and then everything, for some reason, nowadays has to have that girl from The Grudge in it. You know, the long, creepy hair girl that's like...
Well, I would say there's been a couple recently that I have enjoyed. I agree with you that we can't seem, I don't understand why we haven't been able to leverage the technology that we have and do better.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Because honest to God, I mean, because they didn't have the stuff back then when we were younger, I can respect it so much more because they really worked for it. Now we have the things to make it easy, and they don't even really take advantage of it.
Yeah, and the ones that I've enjoyed, I don't even know that I would 100% classify them as actual, like, legit horror movies. Because, like, have you seen Us?
No, never heard of that.
Oh, my God. You have to go and watch that right now.
Okay.
Don't leave
Is it on Netflix or anything? Or
I don't know, but don't leave the podcast to do it.
Oh, shit. I was just logging off.
Stay put, bitch. We're not done.
Bye.
Yeah, and Us is fantastic, and it gave me a lot of chills at certain points. But honestly, I don't know 100% that I would say it was a horror movie.
Well, what's the basic synopsis of what the movie was, just to understand?
This family is at the wife's summer family home, and some weird shit starts happening while they're there. She hasn't been there since she was a child because she had a traumatic experience and got lost. And so it's like brings up a lot of bad memories for her to be there, but they go anyways, and her husband's like, we're going to have a good time. And then these people show up looking exactly like them.
Oh, so it's like one of those like, what was the movie years ago that had the people that were wearing the masks, but like that, but different?
Yeah, like that, but way different because you do not even expect.
So you don't know who's who and.
Yeah, and then the twist that happens is one of the most brilliant, amazing pieces of storytelling that I personally have ever seen. If you don't like it, that's okay. I will not hate you today for that. But but I will say, like, it was.
But you will hate me tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow maybe. It's fucking brilliant, like the storytelling in this. But it's hard because while it does have definitely the horror aesthetic and there's a lot of horrific things, it also is telling a really phenomenal story. So it's hard to say this is traditional horror, but like you know, things that you know are supposed to be just aren't anymore, and it's things that are anomalies like Us, or have you seen The Babadook?
Oh my God, I did love The Babadook.
Right, like so that's not really
that is definitely
a traditional
and that
horror,
was an independent movie, which is ironic too, because that was phenomenal and that was done on an extremely low budget.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that's the kind of horror movies that I think we're thinking of, because that one's also telling a story that is outside the box of what normal horror is.
But even too, you know, just to kind of, if we want to kind of cluster them together, it's just things that are meant to give you that jump factor, or to frighten somebody, or because, you know, in its own realm, I guess, you know, you could be very specific as to what a scary movie actually is, but at the same time, there's a lot of other movies out there that may not classically justify themselves as being a scary movie, but are.
Right.
Like, to give you an example, The Sixth Sense. Back in the day with that movie, that was not technically a horror movie, but it kind of really was. You know what I mean? Because it was still like that deep-rooted, you know what I mean? Like,
what is
like the kid's actually talking to all these ghosts and stuff, but you don't realize it and see it that way. You know?
What's your favorite horror movie? from the
My
80s that...
favorite scary movie of all times is all about, and it's all within Two Queens realm, Carrie.
Oh my God, yes. Carrie is amazing.
Carrie has given me a glimmer of hope and continually makes me smile when the world is at its deepest and darkest for me.
Because you're going to turn up like that Carrie bitch one day, huh?
I am. I really try. I want to. Okay, so you know how somebody gets dumped and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to go watch Hallmark movies and I'm going to cry in my latte. And yeah, I watched Carrie every single day when I got dumped.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I plotted my revenge. And she made me smile and she made me realize that one day he too could be just as dead as her entire senior class. Oh, isn't it such a beautiful love story?
It is. It is a beautiful love story, really.
Yes. Yeah, that is my absolute all-time favorite movie ever.
I think my favorite one is actually not from the 80s.
Ooh.
It's from mid-2000s. The Descent.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I do watch a lot of movies, so I may have. I just am not remembering.
That's the one where this group of women get together who have, like, every year for, like, you know, their whole lives, they get together and do some kind of, like, cool, like, extreme sport kind of thing. And this particular time, they're going into some cave system that nobody else has explored.
Yes.
Okay.
I do remember that enough, yeah.
That movie scares the piss out of me every time I watch it. Every time. Not to mention, those bitches are badass in that movie.
You know what? So I want to step back for 2 seconds. The first one you said was it just the letter S?
No, it's us. U.S.
Oh, U.S. Okay,
yeah.
Us.
Okay.
And then Descent. I'm actually taking notes because I want to go and find these. Because I know I've seen Descent, but I want to rewatch it because I'm not remembering it enough. But
yeah, and it scares me the bejesus out of me every single time. Like, it's got that right mixture of tension build, and they spend a lot of time, like, with the characters going through this cave system, and, you know, before they really start getting to the jumps, then you're already anxious because you're claustrophobic because they're stuck in small places and they're lost.
Oh, that's true.
And so then by the time we get to the things that are jumping out and scaring the crap out of you, you're already so stressed out. Like, you can't handle it. You can't handle no more.
Your body just goes into shock. It's like, man, I'm done.
You're like, Lord Jesus, no, we got monsters in the cave. No.
Oh.
So, yeah, that one definitely. But I will say, like, I think if I'm thinking back to the 80s, An American Werewolf in London is one of my top favorites.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
Yeah.
You know what another one of mine would be is The Exorcist.
Oh, yes.
Because, again, for all of you out there who may not know me, I am creepy. And I think, you know, the girl turning her head 360 degrees while vomiting green and stabbing herself in the vagina with a crucifix is actually sexy. I think that's a tender, loving story to tell.
And that's what formed young Maxine's sexuality.
Yes. And let's not forget, my first actual crush ever was on the character Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Not Robert Englund, but Freddy Krueger and his claws. Because, girl, can you imagine those claws just gently scraping your back as he's whispering into your ear about how he's going to kill you in your sleep?
Oh my
God.
Little tiny
what
nip
a hunk.
flick, like just a little tiny nip flick.
Yes. Just like a tingle tingle. Yeah.
Woo! Lord. Yes. Well, now I can imagine that. I wasn't before, but now I am.
Yeah. I was like 7 years old and was like, who is this tall, dark, and handsome? Yeah, it was real bad. But one thing that actually made me think of getting on this topic today, which was really funny, was what I brought up originally in our conversation was I just recently watched Poltergeist again. And that is one of those movies. Now, I also have a very huge love of clowns, which most of the world thinks are creepy. And I remember when I was little, the clown that was possessed in the children's bedroom, I was like, how can I get that? And have him in my bedroom too, you know.
You're like,
I want him to make things
toy.
spin. Yeah. So I was peeing myself because even though, again, now that's a movie from, God, what was it, like 81 or 82? Again, where graphics were probably not very much or very, and they did a good job at the whole like floating smoke thingies and the hand coming out and, you know, for what they had to work with.
Right.
But there was one scene in the movie that I do remember because also I don't really get scared by scary movies because, again, I think they're more, you know, beautiful and fascinating. But I remember as a child, the one specific scene was, do you remember the scene where there was the steak sitting on the kitchen counter and it started like curdling up?
Yes.
And then the guy drops his piece of chicken and then maggots are crawling out of it?
Yes.
Well, I was rewatching it and I, as an adult, was like, oh my God, did they not have one person supervising that scene when it was made? Because, and you have to go back and watch this because it was hysterical when I watched it. So they have the family living in the house. They hire the paranormal group that comes in to help them. While the paranormal group in the middle of the night is observing the stuff, the one guy goes, hey, I'm going to go in the kitchen and get something to eat. So he walks into this family's kitchen, opens up their refrigerator, and pulls out this big steak. Which, mind you, you're going to walk into some random person's house and pull a steak out of their fridge to go fry up for yourself, and you think that's okay?
Okay, well, this is the 80s. Clearly, steak was cheaper.
Clearly. I mean, something. But what was hysterical about it was he opens the fridge and he pulls out this steak. And I don't mean this steak in a styrofoam container with plastic over it or a steak on a dish. He pulls out a steak. And then he puts that steak on the countertop without putting it on a dish or a paper towel. And I'm like, okay, so who also in the 80s kept steak in their refrigerator with nothing?
I mean,
just plopped it right on the shelf.
This is like 2 life lessons from the 80s. It's clearly steaks were fucking cheap as shit, so you could just disrespect somebody by eating their steak. And
they were so cheap you could just fling them right in your fridge without any protective covering.
Yeah.
Who cared?
You didn't care. It didn't matter.
Yeah. But I was like, but it was hysterical because the guy goes in the fridge, pulls out this just plain piece of steak, like I said, nothing else included, sets it down, then he starts rummaging through their counters to find himself a skillet to grill it on.
He's like, got me a steak.
Yeah. And then while he's doing this, he has the piece of chicken that he also stole from the refrigerator. Like, I hope they gave him a bill.
I mean, maybe he was on, like, the 1980s version of keto. He needed some protein.
Something. It was just, but I was honest to God, I was pissing myself because that's one of those scenes that, like I said, when I caught it, I was like, okay, I understand they didn't have all the graphics or all the, but, like, did they not have somebody supervising that scene to sit there and be like, oh, no, wait, let's put that styrofoam steak on a dish first because then it'll look like a steak coming out of the fridge.
Yeah, I mean, on most movie productions, there is somebody who actually is supposed to be doing that kind of work.
Checking the details.
Yeah. I can't remember what they're called. I know there's people who deal with the continuity and make sure that things are in the same place every time. But then there's also people who are supposed to be paying attention to the details to make sure stupid shit like that doesn't happen. Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if that person who was in charge of that, if they've ever worked in Hollywood after that movie.
You're fired because you just threw that steak in the fridge.
Yeah, like, no thought at all about it. Just flung it right in there.
I love that that's what you fixated on. That you were just like,
I did.
These bitches throwing steak in the fridge.
We all know I love food.
Right.
And when I see a food thing happening that's not correct in the world, I struggle.
Gotta call it out. Well,
yes.
One other movie I want to tell you to watch, if you haven't seen it yet, is Train to Busan.
No, I haven't heard of that one either. I'm clearly in some sort of rock right now because I'm not knowing.
I think you're like in your little insular bubble. You were like, fuck everything that's not 80s. I'm taking these and I'm leaving.
That's true. That could be true. I hopped in my DeLorean and I went back to 1986 where the world was right.
Like, I'm leaving.
I was like, fuck the 2000s.
Ronald Reagan may have been president, but it's still better than now.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes,
Train
Train
to
to Busan
was.
is a zombie movie, and when I was going to see it, I was like, ugh, I'm so over zombies. This is stupid. I don't want to do this.
And I actually do not like zombie movies by nature, so. But if you're recommending it, I'm not going to deny it because I
would just say it's on a train, and it's terrifying. The way that they make the scenarios and the way they make the zombies move. And it's not like the regular, like, just kind of crawly ones.
Which is why I don't like zombies. Now, I will say zombies on a locked, really fast-moving train makes sense to me because, yeah, they may walk slowly, but there's a chance they can catch you because there's nowhere really you can run.
Yeah, these are more like 28 Days Later zombies because, the 28 Days Later zombies are very, like, fast and vicious.
Yeah, and that's fine, too. Yeah, but I just can't take the ones where, and what was actually the one zombie movie that was made back in the day that's like the big one?
Dawn of the Dead, I think.
Something like that. It was the one made in like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, because do you know that was actually made around where I live?
What?
Yeah. Do you remember when we were younger, we would go to the areas called Zombieland?
Yes.
Yeah, those were actually areas from where the movie was shot, hence the name Zombieland.
Oh my God, so you've been there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel so cool for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
Damn.
So,
you
didn't know, but
so
that's my rant on all my scary movie stuff.
Yes. So what is your YouTube pick of the week? Or your bougie pick of the week? I forgot that we changed it.
Yeah. Well, no, you're fine. It's my bougie pick, but it is still YouTube this week.
Okay.
I have sent you this before. The YouTube channel that I want to promote is Michael Henry.
Oh yes.
And let me tell you, to any of you who have not seen him or heard of him, you have to go and check this channel out. He is an LGBT comedian who likes to play on the LGBT stuff, if you can say. So he makes videos where, it's all about like being a power bottom or the mean gays and, about not turning old and all that kind of jazz. He is super hysterical. He totally takes all these gay stereotypes and just knocks it out of the park with his comedy. So he's definitely a bougie must-see to watch.
I find it hilarious, and I'm going to be honest, I feel like he kind of reminds me of you. Just a little bit.
I can honestly say I could see that because his humor is very off-kilter and not very politically correct. And
yeah, when you sent it to me and you were like, this is hysterical, I was just like...
Yeah. Well, there was one video in particular, and especially, too, because talking about the sense of humor, I sent Theta this video that was, what was it, something about, what are your kinks or something like that? And it was hysterical because it was him sitting with his two friends having lunch, and they're talking about, I'm really into sniffing feet and piss play and getting fisted, and they looked at Michael and they're like, what are you into? And he goes, I'm really into being cuddled. And see, that exactly is what I would do. If I had somebody who was talking super raunchy, I would interject it with something like cheesy. Right. Or if they were sitting there, or if I was sitting with a group of friends, like, don't you just love a good cuddle? And when everybody's hanging all onto each other and just kissing and loving, I'd be like, I love a good fisting scene. So
yeah, that's why it did remind me of you, because you like to be quite the contrarian when it comes to those things.
Exactly.
So I was like, well, no wonder Maxine enjoys this.
Yes. But yeah, so Michael Henry is my YouTube pick of the week. So obviously if you go to my personal Instagram page at Maxine Factor, I will put a little link up for him. And then obviously we're going to have you go and follow me and Theta's personal page as well, which is at Theta Valley. And then on our Two Queens Checking In Instagram page, which is at Those Two Queens.
And now we're
Because we are those two queens.
We are. Now we're going to back away slowly, and we're going to be two queens checking out.
Checking out. Hey.
Bye.
Bye,
Oh. One final thing.
What?
No podcast
Yes.
next week.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Miss Maxine's going to be on vacation.
Yes, I will be traveling internationally to Michigan.
Yes. And I'll be recovering from the extraction of my twin sister that I ate and consumed in the womb. So we're going to take a week off, but we'll be back the week after.
The week after.
To regale
ready to
you.
get raunchy.
Yes.
Yes.
Double fisting it is where we're going to be when we come back because we missed
It's
a week.
true.
All right, bitches. Bye.